The RMS Titanic. The RMS Titanic was a British passenger liner that was launched on May 31, 1911. It was the largest and most luxurious ship of its time, and it was widely considered to be unsinkable. However, on the night of April 14, 1912, the ship struck an iceberg while en route from Southampton, England, to New York City. The collision led to the sinking of the ship and the deaths of over 1,500 people, making it one of the deadliest maritime disasters in history. The RMS Titanic was a British passenger liner that famously sank on its maiden voyage on April 15, 1912. The ship was the largest and most luxurious of its time, and it was considered to be unsinkable due to its advanced design and safety features. On the night of April 14, 1912, the Titanic was en route from Southampton, England, to New York City, with over 2,200 passengers and crew on board. At 11:40 p.m., the ship struck an iceberg in the North Atlantic Ocean, which caused a massive gash along the ship's side. Despite the efforts of the crew to stop the flooding, the ship began to sink. There were not enough lifeboats on board to accommodate all the passengers and crew, and the confusion and panic of the evacuation led to many lifeboats being launched only partially filled. As the ship sank, many passengers and crew members were left stranded in the freezing water, leading to the deaths of more than 1,500 people, including men, women, and children from all walks of life. The disaster sparked worldwide outrage and led to significant changes in maritime safety regulations. The Titanic's sinking remains one of the most infamous maritime disasters in history, and it has inspired countless books, films, and other cultural works. Despite numerous attempts over the years to locate and salvage the wreckage of the Titanic, the majority of the ship remains at the bottom of the North Atlantic, serving as a haunting reminder of the tragedy and loss of life that occurred on that fateful night. Here are a few well-known personalities who were involved in the Titanic disaster. 1. Captain Edward Smith. Captain Smith was the captain of the Titanic and was highly respected in the maritime community. He went down with the ship and is believed to have been among the last people to go down with the vessel. 2. Thomas Andrews. Andrews was the chief designer of the Titanic and was on board the ship during its maiden voyage. He worked tirelessly to help evacuate passengers and is believed to have perished in the sinking. 3. Molly Brown. Known as the unsinkable Molly Brown, Margaret Brown was a socialite and philanthropist who survived the sinking of the Titanic. She helped organize the lifeboats and worked to keep spirits up among the survivors. 4. J. Bruce Ismay. Ismay was the managing director of the White Star Line, the company that owned the Titanic. He was on board the ship during its maiden voyage and survived the sinking, but was criticized for taking a spot on a lifeboat instead of staying behind to help with the evacuation. 5. John Jacob Astor. 4. Astor was a prominent businessman and member of one of the wealthiest families in America. He was on board the Titanic with his wife, who survived, but Astor himself perished in the sinking. These are just a few examples of the many personalities involved in the Titanic disaster, each with their own unique story and role in the tragedy. The RMS Titanic's route before it sank was as follows. The Titanic departed from Southampton, England, on April 10, 1912, on its maiden voyage to New York City. It made stops in Cherbourg, France, and Queenstown, now known as Cove, Ireland, to pick up additional passengers and mail. The ship then set off across the Atlantic Ocean, navigating through the Grand Banks of Newfoundland. On the night of April 14, 1912, at 11:40 p.m., the Titanic struck an iceberg approximately 400 miles, 640 kilometers, south of Newfoundland. The collision caused a massive gash along the ship's side, causing water to flood into the lower compartments and leading to the eventual sinking of the ship. The Titanic sank in the early hours of April 15, 1912, approximately 2 hours and 40 minutes after striking the iceberg. The Titanic's route before it sank was considered to be a straightforward journey across the Atlantic, and the ship was expected to arrive in New York City on April 17, 1912. However, the tragic events of the night of April 14 to 15, 1912, changed the course of history and led to one of the deadliest maritime disasters of all time. The disaster sparked worldwide outrage and led to significant changes in maritime safety regulations. The Titanic's sinking remains one of the most infamous maritime disasters in history, and it has inspired countless books, films, and other cultural works. Today, on the 111th anniversary of the disaster, The legacy of the Titanic lives on as a poignant reminder of the fragility of human life and the importance of safety and preparedness in the face of tragedy.